10 tips to beat the ATS and land your dream job. Finding your dream job can feel like an uphill battle, especially in today's competitive market. You spend hours polishing your resume, crafting the perfect cover letter, and then crickets. The culprit. It could be the Applicant Tracking System, or ATS, that most companies use nowadays. These systems scan your resume for specific keywords and qualifications before a human even lays eyes on it. In this video, I'm going to share 10 actionable tips to help you beat the ATS and get your resume seen by the right people. We'll cover everything from keyword optimization to formatting, ensuring your application stands out for all the right reasons. Let's get started. All right, let's talk keywords. Think of it like this. The ATS is like a search engine. It doesn't understand nuance or context the way a human recruiter would. It's looking for specific words and phrases that match the job description. That means you need to speak its language. Start by carefully analyzing the job description, like really dissect it. Highlight the key skills, software, qualifications, and even the specific job titles they use. Those are your golden tickets. Now, seamlessly incorporate those keywords into your resume, especially in your skills section and when describing your work experience. For example, if the job description emphasizes project management, budgeting, and client communication, make sure those exact words appear naturally within your resume. Don't just stuff keywords in randomly, though. The goal is to demonstrate that you genuinely possess the skills and experience they're seeking. The more closely your resume aligns with the job description's language, the higher your chances of ranking well within the ATS and landing on a recruiter's desk. Remember, you're essentially playing a matching game here. The more matches you have, the better your odds of winning. Okay, we've tackled keywords. Now let's talk about formatting, because even the best content can get lost if it's presented poorly. Remember, the ATS is a machine, and machines love simplicity. Ditch the fancy formatting, guys. Avoid using tables, columns, text boxes, or any of those design elements that look cool but confuse the ATS. Stick to standard fonts like Arial, Calibri, or Times New Roman in a readable font size, ideally 11 or 12 points. Use clear section headings like work experience, education, and skills to help the ATS quickly identify and categorize your information. Avoid using headers and footers, as some ATS systems don't read them properly. Think about how you read online. You probably skim for headings and bullet points, right? The ATS operates similarly, so make it easy for the system to digest your qualifications. This tip goes hand in hand with keeping your formatting simple. We want to make sure the ATS doesn't just see a wall of text, but rather clearly defined sections that make it easy to understand your qualifications. Imagine you're the ATS and you're looking for someone with project management experience. You're more likely to find it quickly if it's under a heading that clearly states work experience or projects, right? That's why using standard section headings is crucial. It helps the ATS create a structured understanding of your resume. This means using headings like work experience, education, skills, certifications, awards, or volunteer experience. You get the idea. These headings act like road signs for the ATS, guiding it to the specific information it needs to evaluate your application. The more organized and structured your resume, the easier it is for the system to find what it's looking for. Stick to the commonly used terms, as that's what the ATS is programmed to recognize. Chapter 4. Avoid fancy fonts and graphics. Look, I get it, you want your resume to stand out. You might be tempted to use a unique font or add some visual elements to catch the recruiter's eye. But when it comes to the ATS, trust me, less is more. Those fancy fonts and graphics might look great to the human eye, but the ATS might see them as gibberish. It could completely misinterpret the information or even skip over it entirely, and you definitely don't want that. Stick to basic, easy-to-read fonts like we talked about earlier. And as for graphics, charts, and images, just say no. While they can be effective in a portfolio or on your LinkedIn profile, they have no place on your ATS-optimized resume. Remember, the ATS is a computer program, not an art critic. It's looking for specific information presented in a clear and concise way. Trying to get too creative can backfire and actually hurt your chances of getting noticed. Let your skills and experience speak for themselves, presented in a clean and professional format. Chapter 5. Save in the right format. You've put in the work, you've optimized your resume, and now you're ready to hit that submit button. But hold on a second. Did you save your resume in the right format? This might seem like a small detail, but trust me, it can make all the difference. Most ATS platforms prefer Word documents, that's .doc or .docs or PDF files. These formats are generally ATS friendly, meaning the system can easily read and pass the information within them. Avoid submitting your resume in other formats like XT, JPG, or PNG. These formats can be difficult or even impossible for the ATS to read, potentially leading to your application being rejected before a human even sees it. When in doubt, check the job posting or the application portal for specific instructions on file format. Saving your resume in the right format is like making sure your letter gets delivered to the right address. Chapter 6. No headers or footers. Alright, this is a big one that trips up a lot of people. Remember how we talked about the ATS being a bit like a machine? Well, sometimes those machines don't play nice with headers and footers. Imagine this. You've got your contact information neatly tucked away in the header of your resume. It looks professional, it's out of the way of the main content. Perfect, right? But what if the ATS doesn't even read that section? Suddenly, you've become a mystery applicant. No name, no contact info, just a bunch of skills floating in the void. To avoid this nightmare scenario, keep all your crucial information within the body of your resume. That means your name, phone number, email address, and even your LinkedIn profile URL, if you have one, should be clearly visible at the top of the first page. Chapter 7. We all love a good acronym. They save time and add a touch of industry jargon to our vocabulary. But when it comes to your resume, it's best to err on the side of caution and spell things out for the ATS. Let's say you're a certified public accountant. You'd naturally include CPA on your resume, right? But what if the ATS is searching for candidates with accounting experience? It might not make the connection that CPA implies those skills. To avoid any confusion, always include both the acronym and the full term. For example, write Certified Public Accountant, CPA, or Project Management Professional, PMP. This ensures that the ATS recognizes the keyword regardless of how it's phrased in the search criteria. By spelling out acronyms, you're increasing the chances of your resume being correctly identified and ranked higher in the system. This one might seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people try to cram every single job they've ever had onto their resume. Remember, we're not writing a novel here. We're creating a targeted document that highlights the skills and experiences most relevant to the job at hand. Go back to that job description one more time and identify the key skills and qualifications they're looking for. Then, tailor your resume to showcase those specific areas. If you have experience that's directly related to the position, highlight it prominently. Use strong action verbs to describe your accomplishments and quantify your results whenever possible. For example, instead of saying managed a team, say successfully managed a team of 10, exceeding project deadlines by 15%. The ATS is more likely to rank your resume higher if it sees a strong match between your experience and the job requirements. Sometimes the job titles you've held in the past might not perfectly match the titles used in today's job market. That's okay. What matters is the experience you gained and the skills you developed in those roles. When listing your previous job titles on your resume, try to use titles that closely align with the language used in the job description. For example, if you were previously a marketing coordinator but are applying for a digital marketing specialist role, and the job descriptions are very similar, consider tweaking your title slightly to digital marketing coordinator, or even marketing specialist, if your responsibilities align. The goal is to make it easy for the ATS to recognize your experience as relevant to the position. Of course, you should never misrepresent your experience or inflate your job titles. Remember those fancy fonts and graphics we talked about earlier? The same goes for special characters and symbols. While they might seem like a fun way to add some visual interest to your resume, they can confuse the ATS and cause formatting issues. Stick to standard punctuation marks like periods, commas, hyphens, and parentheses. Avoid using ampersands, bullet points that aren't simple circles, or any other unusual characters that might not translate well across different systems. The goal is to make your resume as clean and straightforward as possible. We want the ATS to focus on the content, not get tripped up by formatting quirks. So there you have it, 10 powerful tips to optimize your resume for those pesky applicant tracking systems. Look, I know it can feel like a game, but understanding how these systems work can give you a serious edge in your job search. Now go out there, crush those applications, and land that dream job. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more career advice and personal finance tips. I'll see you in the next one.